Hello everyone, Jesse Webb, Traders Pro. Market conditions, bullish in a bull market, still holding on to that. Friday's move, we'll take a look at that, didn't move much, kind of gapped higher and then traded back down just a bit, settled into that range. Short term, we are looking at a pretty nice spike here in momentum to the upside. I'll talk about that just a little bit more because typically that initial spike in momentum is not a top. There's almost always divergence on that, meaning, if we have a spike here, there's usually one more move that creates that divergence in momentum, meaning there's a higher high in price and there's a lower high on, I'm just looking at the red line right here in this case. So typically that initial spike up to here is not the top. So we'll watch to see if we can continue to break out of that move and then possibly pull back. There are a few things that are giving some overbought conditions now in this rally that we'll take a look at. So there's a couple of mixed signals in this. Momentum being one of them, but not quite yet. This is, it is definitely in the upper range of this extreme. But again, seeing a pullback and then one more push higher can oftentimes create that divergence that ultimately becomes the top. If I were to look at this here and show you, this is essentially that red line that we were just looking at, spiking. Even here, these highs as the market's continuing higher, that first spike typically is not the top. There's usually more to that. So we'll watch to see if we get a continuation of this breakout move right here. Breadth, still not a lot of participation right here, and we've seen that also in the buy-sell ratio. Buy-sell ratio, we're just about to cross back over to bullish, but we're sitting almost right at 1 now, 0.93. So, that's that tug of war that we're seeing in the price activity. We're just not seeing a lot of confirmation one way or the other, and it's got this slight bearish tone to it. But that could be getting ready to cross over. Sentiment, we are in that upper range. A couple of other sentiment charts to look at. Volatility is the opposite. So we're seeing volatility come way back down. When you see this setup, when you see S&P all the way up to this range into that red area, and you see volatility all the way down here in that green area, that's what you want to see as confirmation. But it also means that we could see volatility spiking and then equities starting to pull back. That's one of the locations and the kind of the conflicting signals of this market top. We had a strong rally. We could pull back just a little bit before we get some acceleration to the upside, or we get a reversal back to the downside. Excuse me. Keep an eye on that this week. Also, gold is in this range now. Gold's had a pretty decent pullback, and it's also down. It's in the oversold range on this sentiment chart. So once it reaches down to these lower ranges, those are areas that you can be watching for a reversal. And typically, when they get this far into these extremes, either up or down, then there tends to be a reversal from there. So keep an eye on that this week. Indices, not seeing a lot of confirmation here on Dow, still seeing a NASDAQ 100, pretty solid buy-sell ratio there on Dow and transports, on NASDAQ 100 and transports, and some of these other small caps as well. Russell 3000, S&P 600, Russell 2000, those are all up above the 1 on those ratios. So as we mentioned last week, that's typically a risk-on scenario where money is going into riskier assets, small cap, mid cap, tech stocks. Those are typically tend to be a little bit more aggressive, riskier stock equity trades, and the reward to risk is higher. So you're seeing when money is going into a riskier asset that the expectation is for more return, but that risk typically is warranted based on market conditions. So we'll see if that pans out also here as well. My muscle stocks, new buy list. Let's take a look here and see more medical bio this week. And this is not a fantastic chart, as I've mentioned before. When you have a little bit of conflicting pattern, you've got a kind of an ugly bar right here, in that it's a kind of a reversal hammer type bar, not a real solid, strong confirmation bar. That would be one that I would watch to see how it opens, but more than likely pass on that one. And let's see what we've got coming up here next. There was a couple of good-looking transport stocks here. This is not a bad chart. ATXS, Medical Bio, nice uptrend, counter trend, solid bullish profile. uptrend, counter trend, you get this reversal type of pattern. We'll see if it holds. Same story here on that bar. This is not a real solid confirmation bar, where it opened, it rallied, and then it traded all the way back down again. A lot of these charts are looking that way currently this morning. Medical Bio, SCPH, OSG, this was the transport stock, shipping stock that is looking a little bit interesting right here at these levels, where we've had this real long consolidation phase, $3 or $4 stock, and it's just been in this tight range. This upper range, if you can get a solid breakout, this one may run a little bit. Maybe back like this move right here. That was a $2 range to $3 range. Each of these breakouts get a pretty decent run there. So that's an attractive setup this morning on that stock. Let's look at one more and see. Here's another nice looking chart pattern. This is OMER, and by nice looking chart pattern, I'm looking at the quality of this bar. It's a good solid uptrending bar, and it held that high, unlike this move here or some of those others that we just looked at. It's holding those highs, and it's got this long counter trend pattern, potential for a breakout on that as well. Of the stocks we just looked at, this is probably the best looking chart pattern, and whether or not that's going to equal future performance, obviously we never do quite know, but in this case, that's a good looking setup. You can continue to go through that list and see what might be of interest to you today. If you don't have full access to the site, you can sign up with the link below, and we look forward to having you. Have a great day today.